Look up the word crazy in the dictionary, and you might just find an asterisk beside the definition that says, listen to the Subiquitous podcast featuring Sue Duffield, and you'll find out what crazy means. Sue's travelogue journey of unfiltered stories, impossible miracles, and faith-filled fun will be revisited right here. So buckle up, and let's get going with this humorous travelogue of an unfiltered saint, Subiquitous.
I don't know what to say, truthfully. I wish that I had words, but I don't. And the only thing I can tell you is when you depend upon your living for words, it's interesting that you don't have a word of description for this young man. But Josh Singletary, you are one of the finest, funniest, most creative people that I know in the entire world. And I feel like that you could be my son.
That's all very kind of you to say. That's all very kind. Can we rewind to the young man part? That would be fabulous. You know, I met a lady the other day. She said, "You must be 40 years old." I said, "Well, what makes you say that?" She said, "Because my son is 20 years old and he's half nuts." I said, thank you. God bless you. TributeQuartet.com.
That's right.
Yeah. I always lead up a underhanded compliment generally with a God bless you. TributeQuartet.com. Shameless plug, no matter what. This is gospel music. You know, people say to me all the time, "Oh, you're famous." I'm like, gospel music famous is not famous.
No,
it's completely different.
It is. But you know what? Your tribe loves you and nobody cares unless that tribe loves you. And
that's true.
I was just sharing with a woman the other day, Josh, you'll love this story. She had never heard of a lot of the gospel groups. You know, she's brand new in the kingdom.
Sure.
So educating her in music across the board is like, "Oh, I never heard of that. Oh, I never heard that song."
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, she would say, "Isn't it funny?" She said, "How did I live 55 years and never heard of some of these songs?" I said, "Well..."
Good question.
Good question. We've been trying to figure this out for a long time. Why there are certain aspects and genres that aren't ever heard. And you and I both love all kinds of music.
Sure.
So why do you think we chose this avenue, though?
Yes. And you know, that's a question that I've actually been asked by producers and other people who know the kind of music that I have studied in the past and that I still study now, just for the musical aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And I have enjoyed throughout my life. You know, and I also had a friend of mine and my wife's asked me, she said, "Well, why are you singing this kind of music when you could be doing like you could do some really cool music?" And first off, I was like, I thought, well, it's kind of cool. Number two, I said, well, I just really like this music. And I got to thinking about it afterwards, and I actually made a post about it. And if I remember correctly, it said, "I was asked today why I do this kind of music." My answer, basically, it was saying what I should have said was, because I love to sing about the Lord.
Amen. There you go. Yeah.
Look, I love worship music. I love contemporary Christian. I love that as well. I'm not saying that music is not about the Lord. I'm not really even referring to that. I'm just talking about this type of music that I sing is what goes through my blood. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it just all about the Lord, period. It all is about the Lord. I just love to sing about the Lord. I really do. So to ask that question, you know, I love to sing about the Lord. Mm-hmm. And you know what's neat about the whole thing? I know this conversation is very quickly becoming one-sided.
No, it's supposed to be.
I think what's interesting about it is, you know, the debate as much as I do. I don't like that kind of worship music. I don't like this kind of worship music. Blah, blah, blah. What never had to do with what you like to begin with. Period.
Well, there you go.
The Lord told us in his word how he wants to be praised and how he wants to be loved, and that's with your mouth open. Mm-hmm. It matters not the avenue. As a matter of fact, you know, my pastor is Lyndall Cooley.
Wonderful man.
Well, wonderful man of God, walking miracle.
Trailblazer too, man.
Understands worship like no other person that I've ever encountered. You know, he's always said this and always driven this home. And I love this. I love this. I love this. It's too many times we find ourselves worshiping the worship. So he was saying the other day, when the Philistines were fighting the Hebrews, they were losing. And they were like, let's go get that box, the ark. Let's go get it, because if we get the box, it'll help us defeat this. And they ended up losing. And the Philistines ended up laughing at them and taking their box, which was essentially a heck of a slap into their face.
True.
You know, you silly little people with your silly little box. That's because they placed their trust in the vessel, in the vehicle. They put their trust in the box and not in the one who the box was for.
Oh man.
They didn't trust the Lord.
Yeah.
So I feel the same way about music and about worship. Too many times we put our trust and our love
That's right.
in the medium of the music. Worship has nothing really to do about music. It's just one of the many avenues that we take. But what I love at Lindell, what I love what Lindell says, he's not looking for worship. He has plenty of worship in heaven. God has plenty of worship in heaven. He doesn't need any more worship. What he's looking for is worshipers.
Oh, there you go.
He's looking for worshipers.
Yeah.
He's looking for people to love him.
Amen.
That's what he wants. That's why he created us to begin with, you know. He wanted that fellowship, wanted that love. He wants that love. He wants that fellowship. So to ask the question, why do we sing what we do an hour later? Because I love to sing about the Lord.
And you know what? It shows, man.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, because lots of times we have people who come hear us sing that don't have a clue what this music is about. But when they see that we have such passion for who we sing about, that's when they then start to question, okay, what am I actually listening to? Okay, where's my passion?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I believe that.
I want to tell you a funny story. You're going to love this. And we're going to talk about some funny stuff too, because I know you've got stuff in your toolbox.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jeff's father was a diehard Quartet man. Okay. Oh, honey. Listen, would drive 200-300 miles back in the day. We're talking, you know, in the 60s and the 70s, in the 80s. And
before you could shake a tree and 100 groups would fall out.
Exactly. And you would, seriously, we would drive 200 and 300 miles to go hear the cathedrals. And we're talking about the Danny Coker days. And, you know, some of the, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, all that to say, Jeff's dad was not he just didn't love the new music. He hated the new music, let's just say it. And in church, he would complain. And this is what he'd say. Oh, that bass is just too loud. Can they turn the bass down? Can they turn that kick drum down? It's just bothering me. So I get in his, I don't know what it was, a 1998 Mercury Sable with his CD player up to 9 gazillion decibels of the cathedrals and George Yance singing and vibrating my teeth out of my head. And it told me right then, it's not about the volume. It's about the taste in music.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I had the biggest laugh of all. And we'd say, Dad, we can't even hear ourselves think in the car when you've got the cathedrals, but yet in church, you can't stand when it's loud and walk out because it's not your music.
Right. It's so funny. The debate to me is just so laughable because it never did have anything to do with your taste in music.
No.
It never had anything to do with it.
No, that's right.
You know? But yeah, poets wrote what they felt in their heart and in their spirit, and songwriters the same way, you know?
That's
They're
right.
just expressing their love. Anyway.
I'm going to quote Josh Singletary on one of his tweets. Listen, one of your tweets. Yeah. One of your tweets 2 days ago, because I follow you, and you said, you're never as bad as they say you are. Mm-hmm. You also are never as good as they say you are.
That is so true.
You know what? You need a T-shirt made of that.
I know. It's so true, though.
Let's
It's
call
so
Gary
true.
Casto right now. He needs to make a T-shirt.
Well, I'll tell you, I was sitting on the bus when I tweeted that, and literally 5 minutes prior to me tweeting that, Gus Gacious was telling us what his dad used to say, which was, "You're never as bad as they say you are, and you're never as good
goodness.
And I said, "That is a brilliant, brilliant quote
It
because
is.
it is absolutely 100% true." People come up to me, "You are you're the greatest piano player I have ever heard." And generally my response is, well, first, thank you. Second, where have you been? Don't you have TV or YouTube or something? What rock have you been in? Because you're never as good as they say you are, which is true. You're never as bad as they say you are.
Right.
You know?
And that, my friend, that's the reason why I think you and I have, connected, because even though we've had diversified histories, you're never, and I just got to say this, you're not full of yourself, Josh. You're not full of, well, I'm all of that. Because how many people do we know, even outside of music, that just believe their press? They believe their own press.
Man, they really do.
And
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, I think, especially in Southern gospel music, you have to have that connection with your fans and your friends. You have to, and you have to be approachable, and you have to be lovable, and you have to be crazy. And
Well, you do. You got to be nuts.
and that's why they love you so much, because not only are you a doggone good musician, you're a character. You're a caricature of yourself. And that bow tie, the whole thing. It's just...
They always ask, is this how you really are all the time? And I'm like, well, I enjoy what I do.
That's right.
I love what I do, and I love being able to pull you in. People say, but you just want all that for attention. I could care less about attention. I don't want people. I don't want the attention, but I'm having fun. And if someone else is having fun as a byproduct, then good. That's kind of what I was aiming for.
That's right.
I always thought it was my job to go, hey, listen, we have something important to say. And well, that's very kind of you to say. That's very nice of you to say. And first off, as far as, being touchable and reachable, well, number one, the people won't allow us not to be anything. But
well, yeah, that's right.
Reachable.
You'll be dismissed.
That's right. We always say we are theirs and they are ours. And we love that about our music. And so, I love being able to get on a personal level with our people. You're not going to get to the heart of the matter if you don't.
No, that's right.
Really. And that's not knocking any other genre of Christian music or any other mode of communication that someone else may have. It's just, especially with Tribute Quartet, we love the fact that we can be reachable and touchable, and we can talk to people, and they do compliment us. And just like family, you're always going to be either the best thing or you're going to be the worst thing.
That's right.
I told Michael Booth one time, I said, you never can impress your family.
No.
I mean, you will never impress your family. For heaven's sakes, they've all seen you in your underwear. You will never impress your family, ever.
No. I don't even think my kids to this day know what I do. And they're 37 and 38 years old.
Yeah, you do what?
I mean, they think they know. I mean, they think they know, and then I get in conversation with them sometimes, and then they're with their friends. Oh, you'll love this part, Josh. They're with their friends, and their friends know more about me than they do.
You know what? Lots of times, Callie, with some of the people she comes in contact with. Now, my wife, for those who don't know, she's a hockey coach, and there are no arguments in my house.
And we're talking ice hocky.
Yeah, ice hockey.
Oh, I love it.
I don't argue because I like my teeth right where they are. In my head. And by in my head, I mean in my gums, not in like my forehead or my temple or anywhere else in my noggin. So she deals with a lot of corporate people, a lot of business people, because hockey is an expensive sport for your child to play.
No
but
doubt.
every once in a blue moon, she'll come across somebody who has a mother or a father or grandmother or grandfather who's a fan of this music, and it will just throw her, and they'll end up they'll end up telling her something that she did. You were there? I was like, yes, I was there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They end up finding something new that she didn't know. It's so funny. So funny.
That is funny.
You were
My
talking
goodness.
about people saying we're the best that they've ever heard in whatever it is, you know. And I came across a clip of Oscar Peterson the other day, and he was in an interview, and I love Oscar Peterson.
Oh, man.
Who doesn't love Oscar Peterson?
No.
Anyway, for those who don't know, he was a jazz pianist, prolific jazz pianist.
Incredible man.
And he was on some show, and the interviewer, do you ever have a perfect performance? He said, no. He's like, you don't never have he said, there's no musician that has a perfect performance. He said, but we fool you, don't we?
And those long fingers.
We never.
Oh, those long fingers. I mean, the video just blows me away.
Well, you know what's amazing about him? Let's get to this topic here. You know what's amazing about those type of players? And it always blows me. It's still to this day. And I know everyone says, well, you're doing the same thing. Well, in what I can do, yes. But to watch, because I'm always wanting to improve. We're always wanting to. If you think you've gotten to where you're going to go, you need to stop and go home, because you'd never quit learning. Bless you. I know you muted that, but bless you. No, she just sneezed, but she muted.
I just cleared my throat.
You should have seen the video that we're actually videoing right now.
I know.
I see her.
You see me going.
Yeah, I see your face. She sneezed. Bless you. So anyway, what I always loved about those players is how they play with abandon, or what seems to be abandon. That whole it just kind of flies out without them thinking. I know they are. It's absurd to say they're not thinking, because they're making decisions. But the fact that they're making those type of decisions so quickly just blows my mind.
That's what used to always crack me up about George Benson, how he was able to sing the same note as he's playing on the guitar. That is another level of creativity.
Yeah. Well, Oscar Peterson did the same thing.
Yes, he sang.
If you listen to some of his recordings, you can hear him. But yeah, the fact that it's not that they were singing it prior to, and it's not that they were singing it after. They're singing it simultaneously as they're simultaneously improving.
Right, that's right.
That blows my mind.
That is amazing.
That is amazing.
So tell me some of the funny stuff. Now, Josh, for my audience, a lot of them do follow Southern gospel. We have a whole demographic that has no clue what Southern gospel music is, don't even know what tribute.com
TributeQuartet.com. Get it, TributeQuartet.com.
One of the finest, most personable, and really creative groups, I'll tell you, with Gus and Josh and Ian and Gary. There's nobody quite like you out there. And I love that. I love that you have your own kind of, for lack of a better word, signature sound. That doesn't sound right to say that, but you do have your own way of doing things. But you've got to have some funny stories, stage stories, bus stories, things that, I mean, I guess
I am, okay, let's think of some of them. I am, okay, for those that listen to your podcast, whether they know what gospel music is or they don't, they know that church can be either very pliable or it can be very unpliable. All right. That we call some churches the frozen chosen for a reason. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Some congregations can be a little more difficult to communicate with than others. Though it seems as though the ones who sit there staring at you with nothing, it seems like they're the ones who end up walking back to the table and going, I just enjoyed that so much. You all are the best thing I've ever heard. And I wanted to go, well, tell your face.
If you're happy and you know it,
show it in your face. If you're happy and you know it, smile, dadgummit.
That's right. Or I have found this to be true. You know, it is right. When they look at you and stare at you in some of the more ecumenical settings that I've done.
Yes.
And I lean over to Jeff and I say,
friend.
yeah, we walk off.
Ecumenical, that's a word.
Is that a nice word?
Buddy,
I learned that about.
I owe you a dime.
And we go back to the table again, and you're right. And I find that sometimes they actually buy product.
They buy more. They buy you out. And you're like, where were you all for the last 2 hours?
I think they're assessing, and
I think a lot of them, especially if they haven't seen you before.
Right. And they're trying to figure you out, especially Josh, I figured you out, but there are a lot lot of people that would say,
it takes them a minute generally to figure me out. I had a lady at, I'll get back to another story I had here. Years ago, we were at Silver Dollar City and in Branson, Missouri, and we had to be up early to load in because we had the morning, 3 morning sets. So for those who don't know, if you are singing at Silver Dollar City, you have to load in before they open the park and blah, 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 blah. So you're not people's way in. It's not a liability and you don't run people over, blah, 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 all
That's
that
right.
stuff. And it's a part of the experience to not see people doing stuff behind the scenes. Anyway, so we're loading our stuff in and we get set up. And about second concert we did too. So you have 3 a day. After the second concert, we had our product table sitting outside of the theater. And this lady walked up. She said, "I have to be honest with you." I said, "Oh, please do."
Oh, no.
She said, "I saw you coming into the park this morning. I thought you were special." I said, "You have no idea how close you are. You have no idea how close you are." Anyway, so those audiences that then you have those audiences that are just, for lack of better words, we use the term, they're right there in your hand or in your pocket or whatever. So, if you have jokes to tell or if you have stories to tell or you're just bouncing off of whatever, you're just ad-libbing, they're right there. They get you. They understand what's going on. The laugh is there. They're having fun. You're having fun. Those who know Gary Casto is the one with the reins.
That's right.
He's pulling everything in.
Yes, he is.
Which with me, as you can imagine, can sometimes be a chore.
I was wondering if you had to sign a contract with him, like say, okay.
When we first decided to start the group, I looked at him. I said, "Would you trust me with any comedy or any comedic thing?" He said, "Yes." So I remind him of that all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Now look, you said you would trust. So we're at this church in Winter Haven, Florida. First Church of God. That's it. First Church of God in Winter Haven, Florida. Love that place. Place is packed every time we're there. I love it. They've seen us enough. They love us. They get it. They understand. So they're right there with us the whole time. Well, it got to be this one spot where I don't remember what all was being said, but I couldn't leave it alone. It was just
yes.
The laughs were there. It was there. I was trying to taper it out. And Gary was trying to bring the service back down.
Oh, no.
But they just couldn't, they wouldn't quit laughing. And so I would respond accordingly.
Of course you would.
And bless his heart, to his defense, yes, I was, but I was trying to taper it out. I was actually
on the downside.
Actively trying to taper it away. And every time Gary would go to try to say something would happen. I would say something or they would laugh at something that happened. I don't remember what it was, but it got, I've told this story before. It drove him crazy. Ian was new with us and Gus had been there for, 3-4 years already. So he knew how it went. Well, Gary was standing there trying to talk to the people. Now, for those who are listening to this, you have to visualize this because I can't. He has the microphone in hand. He's talking to the audience. I'm about 3 feet behind him to his left diagonally. And these people are laughing. And finally, he had enough. He turned around. He looked at me, put his microphone at an angle as to not be heard. Now, when Gary tries to talk to you on stage, he'll talk out the side of his mouth. so that people won't notice
Right.
he's talking out the side of his mouth. Right. Right. So we always tease him about that. We always say, they can see you, right? They can see you. So he talk out the side of his mouth, literally like that.
Yeah.
And he turned to me. He turned around and he looked right at me. And out of the side of his mouth, he goes, "Would you shut up?" Ian lost it. Gus lost it. The people had no idea. I had a big old fat smile on my face. It was all I could do not to lose it myself. I went, go ahead.
But at least you didn't do it out
Turned
the
back
side of your
around
mouth.
and
Right?
started talking to Ian was gone. Ian was gone for at least a song and a half. He was done. He was fried. He'd never seen anything like that. That was the funniest thing he ever. Would you please shut up? Oh, it's one of my favorite moments. It's one of my favorite Gary Casto antagonizing moments.
Awesome.
Oh, it was
so
it
great.
was so good, and of course they loved it. And of
Yeah.
course, him and I are like brothers, so we could talk to each other
Sure.
like that. So I don't want no emails saying, "Well, I can't believe Gary Casto said
No,
shut
you
up on stage." Blah 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 blah.
No, that's right.
Oh,
that's awesome.
let's see another story. I've always learned this one is kind of funny. I don't think I've ever told this one publicly.
This
one
is what inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because of my personality, some people find it hard to swallow.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them misunderstand my point of view on my love of the Lord and my love of our music and my love of the people and my love of our time together. A lot of them misunderstand. I can't believe he's up there acting foolish in church and blah, 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 blah. And how dare he go, blah, blah. Oh, come on. Stop. I can't believe you're being that grumpy in church for the love.
That's a good one, yeah.
So I got this letter years ago. And I remember Mark Lowry years ago talking about a similar situation where he received a letter from somebody who did not like him and did not like his situation. And I think he even posted it online years ago. Well, I got an email. I've not gotten an email in years.
Right.
But this time I did. And this was years ago. Now, what's funny about this story is people don't realize when you email the office, I am the office.
You are the office, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, you are emailing me, which
Right.
makes this story even better. So we just got, again, we were at Silver Dollar City. Something about Silver Dollar City. What is it with you guys, Silver Dollar City? So we were at Silver Dollar City, and about 3 or 4 days after we were there, we got an email. And this is what it says. Now, to clarify, Gary and I both get the email. So if there's any business,
Sure.
we take care of certain business things, and I take care of product orders and requests for media and all that jazz. But anyway, this is what the email said. By way of Mark Lowry, he said he kept that letter because if he ever felt like he got too big for his britches,
it's a great thing.
He would be reminded that not everybody likes him.
No.
And that was quite possibly the most poignant lesson I ever learned from my mother years ago. I was complaining about people, some people not liking me and blah, blah. And Mama just had enough. And she looked at me, she said, "Josh, not everybody's going to like you." And it really slapped me upside the head. It really did. But it helped me more in my life.
Right.
Because I don't care now. If you don't like me, I don't care. It bothers me not. It bothers me not.
That's right.
I hate it. I hate that you no longer want to hear of anything I have to say by way of the Lord. And I hate that. But that's not my problem. That's yours.
That's right.
All right. So this email, this is what it said. My wife and I spent a week at the Southern Gospel Picnic at Silver Dollar City and attended the first performance of the Tribute Quartet. We did not attend the following 2 performances because of the quote-unquote antics of Josh. His behavior very much detracts from the message of the songs being sung. We think, because we asked, we think he should decide whether he wants to be a serious singer or a comedian. And our recommendation, again, because we asked for a
Right, that's right.
recommendation. Right. Now, please give us your recommendation. And our recommendation for him is, since his singing voice is not that good, he should go back to playing piano,
Oh,
at which he is outstanding. Just thought you might want to know what some people are thinking. Okay. Again, they don't know that I am The Office.
yeah, that's right.
They thought they were, and they signed their name, which shall never be read.
Yeah.
And they thought they were emailing an office, which would then, reprimand me for my actions and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
I hit respond or
Good.
reply.
Or
rather.
reply, yeah.
Dear so-and-so, thank you for your recommendation. Josh Singletary. Send. Never heard another word. Never heard another word. Our recommendation.
Yeah.
Thank you for your recommendation. Man, people say some of the crazy stuff. Man, they do. They really do.
And they feel like they can talk to you because, again,
we make ourselves reachable and touchable. Right. We are church people.
That's right.
We're church people.
That's right.
And we're everybody's church people. We're all church people. And, in church, people talk to each other and give their opinions of each other because they're family, because they're church people. And they can all talk like that. And so, okay, so let's see. More funny stories. Let's see. What's another one? This is so much a funny story.
Well, I do want you in closing as we get wrapping up.
Are
here.
We wrapping this up already?
Not right away. No, not right away.
Oh, no, Sue.
No, we're just getting started. But I want you,
Okay.
I seriously want you to talk about, if we do eventually get to that serious part, your song, Glory. You need to talk about that, and then we'll go from there. So if you can't think of that funny thing or whatever, just
go into that.
Yeah, I just the first time I heard it, truthfully, was when we saw you in
That's right, at Thompson Station.
Venice, Florida.
Oh, Venice, Florida. That's right.
Now, I was warned that I should have listened to it before, and somebody that we all love and said, Sue, you'd got to listen to the song before you, and I thought, okay, yeah, and I didn't. But then you sang it that night.
And I don't take offense to that, in case you ever think I would. I don't take offense to that. That's exactly the way it goes for all of us. You need to listen to this song. Well, we listen to so much music already.
That's right.
Okay.
But tell me about this one.
So this song, Glory, is on our brand new project, Tribute's brand new project, Always Grace. Shameless plug, tributequartet.com.
It's great.
It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's like next to the last song on the CD, if not the last song. Where's that at? It's on, hold up.
That's all right. I don't even know either. And I think I even have the album, and I don't have it in front of me.
The next to the last song.
Okay.
Sorry, I got up and looked I have a vinyl hanging on my wall.
Yeah.
It's the next to the last song on there. So I do on the side when I can, just like Jeff does, do studio work.
Sure.
If someone needs a piano dubbing on a record, I'll record it here in my office. Or demos. I get called to do demos for songwriters.
Right.
Whether that be piano and singing, or if it's just piano and then they have another singer, later put it on. So Rodney Griffin called me and said, hey, I got this song. Would you mind doing the demo? I said, sure. Mm-hmm. Anytime you get paid to do anything, you're like, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. God bless you and your ministry. And so I said, sure. And I love working with Rodney. And so I said, sure. So he sent me this song, found out it was written by him and Mark Mathis. Mm-hmm. Now, when Rodney sends me a demo, it's generally him singing and no music in the background, or sometimes with the work tape, it's him singing and a piano or, a keyboard or something. Sometimes it's a cappella, especially if it's a key that he doesn't feel comfortable playing in, blah, blah, blah. And so I have to figure it out, and I love that. He asked me why I love doing it. I said, because it's a creative outlet for me.
It is.
I enjoy it.
Oh, what a great thing.
And so he sends me this song called Glory. And I thought, that's a neat name. And, Rodney always writes good songs. I always like Rodney's writing. I played listened to the lyrics, listened to him sing it. I played it, and then I listened to it again. Sue, that song, the Spirit of God filled my office, and I found myself a mess in the carpet.
Wow.
Just on the just from the
Yeah, just from the demo.
I
Wow.
was a wreck. I was a wreck. For those who may not have heard it, I would love for you to go listen to it. But real quick synopsis, it talks about how, there are things that happen that no one sees that's just for his eyes.
Oh, man, what a good line. That's right.
And there are things that people do that no one else sees that's just for his glory. And what's amazing about that to me is the fact that, the word says that to the Father, our flesh is nasty. Man, it's like a dirty rag. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your flesh is referred to as a dirty napkin, a dirty rag,
That's
which
right. Filthy rags, which
is
were
referring to
the women's menstrual cycle. That's exactly right.
Female cycle. You are like a filthy, dirty rag. That is what our flesh is like to him. It's what the sin that Adam and Eve did to us and did to our flesh. And so that's why we need the blood of Jesus. That's why we need to be washed in the blood.
Right.
What is amazing about that fact to me, and this song just really brought it to light, is in that stench, in that wretchedness, in that just disgustingness, he still finds something he wants to be near us.
Amen.
About.
Yep.
He still finds something in us that says, I loved you so much that I sent my son to die for you. That blows my mind.
Right.
That blows my mind. If someone curses at me, man, it's hard for me to get over that.
Right.
I do eventually. Yes. Okay. No emails. Yes, I do eventually, and I forgive. Yes. My gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to get over that sometimes.
Right.
Our flesh is constantly offending the Father, constantly.
Yeah.
And the fact that he still says, I want to be near you, man, that blows my mind. That absolutely blows my mind. And so the second verse talks about people doing things that other people don't see that bring glory to the Father. There's something about that still, in the stench, in the mire, in the simplicity, in the unimpressiveness of what you do, what you think it is, and you're doing it for the glory of the Lord still sees that and is happy.
It's awesome.
And is happy that you're there and is happy that you're doing it for him. That blows my mind. So that's what the song really spoke to me about. So I said, hey, Rodney, does anyone have this song on hold? And for those who don't know what that means, is there another artist that has reserved it?
Right.
Did they put a hold on it and said, hey, we're going to record this? He said, no. I said, did you write this for anybody? Because sometimes songwriters write songs with specific people in mind. I said, he said, no. I said, I'm headed to a listening session for a new project. Can I pitch it? He said, absolutely. This is what I found funny. Of course, I took it to the session. Everybody in the room was wrecked too. I mean, it was just one of those, it's one of those songs that really hit you in the face. And I found out later, and this is a side note, this really doesn't have much to do with anything except for the fact it's kind of interesting where I'm concerned. Rodney called Gary later and says, I believe Josh, and I think it's, very nice that he's wanting to. He said, but are you really taking it to the session? He said, I've written over 500 songs, and of all the artists who have ever done a demo for me, not one has ever said, hey, can I record this song? And I thought,
how? Who, what, where, when, why?
What artists were doing your songs?
Oh, my goodness.
So it meant a lot to him. It means a lot to me. And that song has really struck a chord with people. We have many great songs, and I'm very thankful the Lord has allowed our library to be a library of great songs. But this is the only song that when we're done singing it, there is not a word, not a clap, not an applause, and it's every time we sing it. It's everywhere, every time we sing it.
Wow.
The silence is deafening. The Spirit of the Lord just shows up.
Mm-hmm.
What's difficult about it for me is I want to live in that moment again of worship to show the Lord how much we love him.
Yeah.
but the
right.
concert has to, we have to wrap it up. So we have to kind of move on, slowly somewhere. But I hate that because I just want to bask in that for hours and hours and hours and hours. I just want to just be there with the Lord. It's funny. I wish I was like a Jeff Easter where I had tons of funny stories. I really don't. And most of the jokes that I tell are stolen. Most of them
Well,
are stolen from Red Skelton's dialogues on his program.
But you know what? Here's the thing about you: you're reactive, and to the
Now
whatever
the reaction
happens
thing.
in the congregation for the moment, and not everybody can do that. And we've seen that over and over again. I think obviously Mark Lowry is the king of that. But if something happens funny in a service, you react with it and go with it. And there are a lot of people that, they have their structured presentation. And that has never been Tribute Quartet, not with you in them in any way. And, another thing I was thinking about Glory and the song, how Rodney Griffin gave you permission to do his song. And the other songwriter's name was, I forgot.
Mark Mathis.
Greater Vision could have recorded that.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, he allowed Tribute Quartet to do that.
It was very kind of him to do.
I just want to encourage our listeners to download that, get on all the streaming services or get on tributequartet.com and order that album because it is a very good album. And that song, I believe, to be the standout on it.
Well, I honestly thought he was writing it for their next record because it sounded like a Rodney song.
Right.
It sounded like something that Rodney would sing.
Yeah.
And, and maybe deep down he thought maybe he would eventually. But I was like, no, I want it.
I'm stealing it.
I love you, but I'm going to sing this song.
All right. Well, you know what? Yeah. So down the road, here's a dream of mine. It wouldn't be fun for all the eccentric creatives of gospel music to have some sort of platform event where we can just be crazy wacko for about 2 hours on a spontaneous stage.
Oh, would love that.
Wouldn't that be something to do? And no script, just kind of flow with the crowd and
just go with it.
You're my guy. You're my guy if I'm going to do this. Because
okay, I'm there. You have me. Sign me up.
Oh, gee, Josh Singletary, what a blessing you are to me and to Jeff and the world that knows about you. And the ones that don't know about you, they need to get on tributequartet.com or they need to follow you on Twitter or follow you on Instagram and see what you're all about. Because you know what? You're bigger than the room. But you're what? I think, personally, you can't be bigger than the room if God isn't bigger inside of you.
Boy, that's true.
And so thank you again. Thank you for being on this
Sue.
Ubiquitous podcast. Anything else you want to, where are you going to go next? This will probably be broadcast in the next week or so. So what does your summer look like? I guess you're going to be all over everywhere.
So our summer, I would assume you have some West Coast followers.
We do.
So next week, actually, you said this will probably air next week?
Yeah, it's going to be around the 5th, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, then we'll already be there.
Okay.
We're going to be in Visalia, California.
Okay, cool.
And Sacramento on the 7th. But we're headed to Maryland, and we're headed most of May is a vacation.
Nice.
So
you deserve that.
Yes, we do. Then we're going to be in Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and Indiana and Arkansas. Hey, we're going to be at the Quartet show, Memphis Quartet show on the 23rd of June. July, we're all over the place. I go into the studio. Actually, hey, here's another shameless plug. I'm going into the studio myself for a brand new piano CD that's a whole story.
I was going to ask you about anything you were doing on your own.
Oh,
good. That's not a shameless
long story, but I can give you a concise story. To make a long story short, do you know who David Clydesdale is?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, for most of gospel music, David is a bit of a lofty thought to work with.
I've heard that. Yes, indeed.
He's in a different He's on a different
He's on
plane.
a different planet.
Musically and financially. All right.
That's right.
He's basically, for those who know who John Williams is, he's basically the John Williams of Christian music.
Great analogy.
Right.
Exceptional analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. Okay. For those who don't know, if you know who Sandy Patty is, he made Sandy Patty. Oh Lord, our Lord, how majestic is. That's him. Larnell,
Steve Green.
Dino,
Oh my gosh.
Everybody. Yeah. All of them. Does stuff for has done stuff for Disney, Broadway. Brilliant orchestrator. I had an opportunity. I don't think I could express the literalness, if that's a real word, the literalness of the word literal more than I can without just using it. Literally laid in my lap. And it was evermore a God thing. And so, long story short, I am putting the piano on a project that was actually essentially made for somebody else that it didn't work for. And the songs are massive. They all sound like movie soundtracks. They're absolutely stunning and gorgeous.
Great.
And I go into the studio July to lay down the piano. And what's funny is this is not the project that everyone is expecting from Josh Singletary. Everyone's expecting this, a fun, jazzy kind of ditty thing
but
that
I know,
Josh is kind of known for.
Yeah.
This is not. This is big orchestra and choir and beautiful, and these are actual pieces of music. And I've had to, he asked me. He said, "What do you need from me?" I said, "I need time." Because these aren't my arrangements, these aren't my, So I need to find out what it is that you're doing in the music, and then what I need to do to adapt to that, and blah 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 blah. So anyway, it's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. Oh,
that's awesome!
It's called. I think it'll be called "What a Song." So
lovely.
Because these are all older songs, but they are epic songs of the faith. The Lord's Prayer, and Christ Alone. How majestic is your name? The prayer. See what else? All hail the power of Jesus' name.
Love it.
Beautiful songs.
Oh,
I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited.
Well, just the name David Clydesdale is just
right.
But you're right. I say the ka-ching behind it after I say his name. But,
and you know what? That's not a complaint.
No.
That's not a complaint.
No.
The work is what it is, and you have to pay. You have to pay.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to pay the musicians. You have to pay the
all that.
His work, his time, his hours. You have to pay all that stuff, and it costs a lot of money.
Right.
The Lord, I was.
That's awesome.
It was literally laid in my lap.
So we can just follow you, and when it's available, they can get on there. Yep. So I will say to you in closing, the check's in the mail, Josh. I will thank you.
No.
Thank you for making this bright spot.
Are we talking about?
Ubiquitous podcast. Too. I mean, I wanted you on here a year ago, and just things got crazy. And you need to know, 17 countries are listening to us right now. 17. Yes. And 17. It's crazy. And I just got another announcement from one of those analytical podcasting where they find out where you're going and how many people. We're in the top 5% of faith-based podcasts.
Wow.
And little old me would never, ever, ever have dreamed. It's like you with the Clydesdale thing, how God dropped that in your lap.
Oh,
see, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking more and more because of your faithfulness, your incredible giftings. God is opening doors that no man can lock, and he's locking doors that no man can open. And Josh, you're just starting out. You really are.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
And I appreciate you as a friend.
Oh, I love you too, Sue.
Okay, and you owe me some Mexican tacos.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I love tacos.
I know. We got to go out for Mexican food.
I do love some Mexican food. Someone asked me today, they said, how do you feel about this? Is the rate of inflation concerning you? I said, only when I eat Mexican.
Only when you eat It inflates, I'll tell you. Yes, it do.
Buddy.
All right, buddies. Well, thank you so much. And this has been the Ubiquitous Podcast. Get on SueDuffield.com. You'll find out a whole lot of information about tributequartet.com, because when we post this, we're also going to put Josh's face all over everywhere, and we just pray for you.
God help.
And we thank our listeners for tuning in each week. And again, we say thank you, Josh, and thanks to the guys with Tribute Quartet. And thank you, too, for those that are listening, that, if you don't know the Lord and you've never even thought about a spiritual scenario in your life, do you realize you are seriously just one phrase away from knowing Jesus as your Savior? And that's by saying, thank you, Lord. I just forgive me of my sin. And thank you, Lord, for being a part of my life. May I glorify your name and watch what God does. Thank you, Josh. We'll see you next time.
Okay.